Hello, my friends. Oh, I'm super off-centered. What's up? Internet, webby, nerdy geekiness. We are very happy to be here tonight, Monday night. I'm sorry. You guys, I got my hair did. I know that matters. Okay, let's try this all again. Hello, and welcome to Tabletop Terrain Talks, where we talk about tabletop gaming, terrain, and other nerdy things. Hence my Wonder Woman and Power Rangers behind me. Sequentially. You're always off-center. Thank you. Thank you so much.
I don't know how to take that, but okay.
I appreciate it. Anyway, we are so happy to be here tonight to talk about tabletop gaming. We've got Ttrpg news. We're talking about all the D&D movies. We are talking about the new trailer that dropped this weekend. We are very excited.
And we're talking about all the old. We're going to talk a little bit about these older D&D movies.
Yeah, the old school ones that were done that were interesting.
We'll talk about them.
I dig the Wonder Woman picture. That was actually made for me by somebody Weston knew.
Yes.
We were at a convention, and it was Anthony.
Yes. What was Anthony's last name?
I don't remember. Anyway, he had this beautiful Wonder Woman. Oh, which side is it? This beautiful Wonder Woman thing, and he offered to customize it for me, and he did, and I love it so much. Next week, you guys get to see my awesome Red Riding Hood one.
Anthony Romrell.
Romrell
was his name. And actually, if you want to check him out, he's an artist, does lots of amazing, cool things, including he does work for some projects on Marvel.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah,
yep.
He does. He is a teacher down at the university in Provo, Utah.
Yep,
and he's awesome. Anyway, sweet. So a couple announcements. First, we have this coming Wednesday. Sorry.
What?
I'm just thinking the irony of announcing this to Lost Tribes Gaming.
Hey, guess what, Jerome? You're on with us.
You're on with us on Monday or on Wednesday, whatever day that is. Weston is working on the sound. But Wednesday, we have our newest episode of the Family Gaming Experience live here on the 27th. It's cosplaying conventions. We will have Jessie from J&J Cosplay and Brittany Heiner, who is an amazing cosplayer as well. They are going to be on talking about cosplays, conventions, tips on how to getting into cosplaying, how to cosplay family friendly and still have a great time. And all of that jazz. So it's going to be super fun. This is, of course, in conjunction with Lost Tribes Gaming, who is currently in the chat. Hi, lowercase j. What's up?
What's up?
What's up? Other things. Do we have other announcements?
I don't really think we have any other announcements at this time, other than if you missed our Friday night's actual play, you can check it out on YouTube. Or if you just want to listen, I know a lot of people just want to listen to it rather than do the viewing. They can check it out on podcast.
Yes, we are a couple of episodes behind on the podcast because life, and I'm trying to manage all of the things, and it's hard when you don't have a production team.
No excuses.
Anyway, okay, so that is our announcements for the week. So let's get into our most favorited segment of all time, TTRPG News.
And here we go.
Hello and welcome to TTRPG News with Party of Two. If you are catching this on the VOD, know that you can hang out with us live on Monday nights at 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, where we do all of this loveliness live. You can hang out in the chat and join the chaos. It's super duper fun. If not, please subscribe, and ring that bell, and you'll get to know when we have new episodes.
Ring that bell.
Ring that bell. Okay, Weston.
First off, there is going to be an Elden Ring tabletop. Yep, it's coming, but only to Japan. From Software is developing the Ttrpg, but it is designed by Kato
Hironori.
Hironori, the designer of Third Threed.
Of the
Dark Souls Ttrpg released in Japan. So apparently they've got their own TTRPG of Dark Souls in Japan.
They do.
The Elden Ring game...
Massive difference in the sound. Echo and only one mic is picking up. Weston, what did you do?
I didn't do anything.
Did you turn your mic off?
No.
Hold for one moment while we figure out this technical difficulty of difficulties. Can you do we...
Mics are coming through.
Okay, we're gonna keep going. Hopefully this fix happened when the scene changed. That's weird. I apparently will be editing all of this out for when this goes live on YouTube. Okay, talk.
Let's try that.
How's that? If that's better, let us know. So yes, there is a very flourishing TTRPG space in Japan. That is Japan only.
Wow. So these are going to be one-on-one. It's a game master and a player with more intimate setting than a 3 or 4 person party. Let's make it. Oh, and we do need to make a distinction here. The version that is being released there is not the same as the Steam-forged Dark Souls game that we got here in the US. That was off.
That was really not very good by Steamforge.
The game will be released in Japanese early spring of 2023. So if you know Japanese, you get to go play it, and the rest of us don't, which is sad.
Yeah, it is kind of sad. But there is as I was doing a little research on this story, I realized that there is a very, very flourishing TTRPG space in Japan that is Japan and in China as well that are only in Chinese and Japanese. They do not translate them like pretty much ever. So the likelihood of us ever getting this TTRPG in English is very low unless a third party translates it.
Interesting factoid. The most popular TTRPG of the ones that we know and have in that area is actually Call of Cthulhu.
That makes sense because they're very into like that horror.
That is the most popular of the main TTRPGs that we have in Japan and that area, in China and Japan and all that stuff. So.
Cool. All right, so our next story is TSR seems to have made another questionable choice in the release of their new Star Frontiers New Genesis playtest. Bringing a cry of racism from TTRPG fans. The playtest was leaked by the Twitter account No Hate in Gaming on July 19th, 2022. And in it, there was a page that we have descriptions of races and sub-races for the game, including one called Negro sub-race, described as tall, thick-bodied, dark-skinned, as well as a Nordic race, described as tall, blonde, and blue-eyed. This has created waves within the TTRPG community, understandably, and the current iteration, just as a clarification, the current iteration of TSR is not the company that created D&D. This is a company that purchased the copyrights for the name and all of its materials. Well, not all of it, but some of its materials when it came up for purchase a few years ago. So this is a different company under the same name, but this is not the first time that they have had kind of calls for racism or sexism within the TTRPG space. And this is still in playtesting mode, so perhaps this was a mistake made. But
the thing is,
TSR, WTF?
It's the Negro subrace, who, by the way, has a low intelligence.
I didn't
by default, and the Nordic race all have higher stats.
Yeah, like Max is plus 13 and Max for the Negro subrace is plus 9. Like
I don't know what the thought process is, and TSR has not made any comment.
No, they have said nothing about it, so we will have to wait and see. This did come out on the 19th though, so this came out like a week ago. So you'd think that by this point they would have said anything, but so far they have not. Nope.
In other news, the first Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves trailer has dropped with last weekend's San Diego Comic-Con.
Woohoo!
It was met with mixed reviews from the TTRPG community, but by and large, the general populace are very excited to see the upcoming movie. The D&D community have pointed out some hiccups in the rules of D&D, such, for example, the druids cannot turn into an owlbear as shown in the trailer, but many others have made the fans extremely excited. The multiple dragons, the displacer beast, the gelatinous cube, and of course the mimic. We will need to wait for the movie, however, until March of 2023, and we will be talking about all of these pieces today in the main discussion point for
this week. We are very excited. I'm excited for this movie. I thought the trailer was awesome. In a final bit of D&D movie news, the new trailer released this weekend was also the release of the first official movie poster. As soon as it hit the internet, people began to analyze it and rip it apart and found a major gaffe in the design. One creature on the poster was the creature art from Pathfinder 2nd Edition Bestiary 2, the Intellect Devourer. Now, this creature is in the D&D Bestiary, or Bestiary, depending on how you say it. However, the art that they pulled for the poster was specifically from Pathfinder 2nd Edition. The small mishap made it through social media extremely fast, like freaking wildfire. And Paramount has pulled the poster, it looks like, the same day for seemingly due to irregularities with the art. I said that weird. Irregularities with the art. According to Liam Nolan, who is a writer for Marvel, and it is kind of a question. Oh, I wonder what those irregularities were. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he does a bunch of stuff in the Nerdverse as a reporter. But yeah, that was a very interesting thing to see. The poster was made by Boss Logic, who also did the fairly famous image now of Henry Cavill loving up his computer.
Oh yes.
If you remember those images, but yeah, so that was fun, and I think it is funny that it has been pulled down. However, this is now going to be a collector's item for anyone that was at San Diego Comic-Con
and picked one up.
Hold on to your poster, because you will be able to sell that for a ungodly amount of money soon.
I know the Pathfinder community, no one was mad about this. They were
it was like, hello.
I loved one comment that I saw online about this. It was like, they're using the Pathfinder, art in the D&D poster, and the guy's like, well, yeah, this makes perfect sense. I borrow stuff from Pathfinder for my D&D games all the time. And I was like, that's, you know what?
Oh, that's bad.
That's a perfect representation right there.
That's really funny.
And on final note, speaking of Pathfinder 2nd Edition's Dark Archive is releasing on Wednesday the 27th. This is a really cool one. It's very occult. They even have mechanics and things like that for building your cult. So if you're a storyteller and want a little bit more guidance in that, they've got creating cryptids, which is like cryptozoology creatures. It's taking a regular...
It's Bigfoot.
Yeah, you can make Bigfoot and different things.
Or the chupacabra.
Yes. All those different ones.
Or the skunk ape.
Which is Bigfoot.
Or the beast of Brer Road. You
can guess what Hayley likes to listen to in her spare time.
I know a lot about that.
It also has the new classes of the Thaumaturge and the Psychic. So that comes out on the 27th. In 2 days. Go check it out at your local game store where it will be available. Generally, they make it pretty quick.
MSRP is normally $60 for the hardbacks, and then
wasn't it $25?
$25 for the pocket versions, I believe. But the pocket versions are normally released really soon after the hardbacks are.
You can also get them generally on Paizo's website in PDF for $19.99.
Yes, you can. We don't have any community news for the week. If you have anything that you would like to share with our community, please email me at partyof2rpglive@gmail.com, or you can get in contact with us going to our Twitter at partyof2rpglive, where we are super duper interactive. And messing with Sasquatch. Seriously, though, Sasquatch, we should have a discussion.
And that's all for TTRPG News today, Monday, July 25th.
We're back.
Welcome back. So it is time to talk about D&D
This is like the fastest
movies.
TTRPG news I think that we have ever done.
Well,
like
there
we
weren't-
jumped in real quick.
There weren't that many stories. We didn't have a ton of announcements.
That's true.
Beforehand. So just kind of happened. But we're going to jump now into, I've been spending time researching. Now, Haley.
I broke a promise, you guys.
Haley broke a promise
broke
to
a
y'all,
promise.
and she needs to
I need to
admit her
admit
wrong.
to, I did not watch the D&D movies like I said I was going to. I actually completely forgot about it. So I apologize.
So she left me to be tortured alone
Weston was tortured for all of us.
while I rewatched some D&D movies. And yes, let's jump into this. Let's talk about these D&D movies. Ooh.
Do. You know, I've got to say though, there were quite a few bigger actors in this movie,
There were.
which is like kind of sad that it was so atrociously horrible.
Well, and that's the thing is we want to talk about.
And the hero was pretty hot, so it was like, come on now, guys.
Yeah, I mean,
That was during his heyday though, when he was doing like tons of different movies.
yeah. So the this one we had the cast with Justin Whalen, who was the lead.
He was the lead, yeah, and he did a ton of stuff at that time too.
And then our main bad guy was Jeremy Irons. So,
Was Jeremy Irons the bad guy, or was it? I thought that dude was the bad guy.
which one? No, there's the bad guy right there.
Oh my gosh,
Blue-
Jeremy Irons,
blue lip man.
dude,
Blue
and
Lip
Jeremy
Dude
Irons.
was his sidekick. He was the guy he sent around to go, do the bad stuff. But
Kill the people.
he was the main bad guy. Now, I want to, and
My
the
hair is
the
like-
Black Vulcans trying to beat elves. Really, yes.
Yeah, that was the props were really. It's really sad because I feel like they could have done a lot more if they had been inventive. I feel like Hollywood gets very lazy with their ingenuity or whatever. Not ingenuity. Because I have friends who are in filmmaking and they could have made a better movie than this on the shoeiest of all shoestring budgets.
Well, and we'll get to that. We will get to that actually. But yeah, so here we have our main bad guy.
Why are half of our dragons cut off? What is happening?
There.
The dragons are my babies, and they're cut off. There we go.
There's your dragons.
Thank you very much.
So, yeah, so we've got, let me head back one more.
Oh
Okay,
my gosh, what was that picture?
that's the party. So we're going to get to that in just 1 second. So yeah, Jeremy Irons, he played Profion. And the whole plot of this show was this. Bad guy is making a scepter to control dragons. It doesn't work. So then So then he's going to use politics to get the scepter that apparently the Empress has to do what? Control dragons. The Empress being played by this little girl who's right
Who
there.
plays
in
the
middle.
Empress? And she plays the Empress in a couple of things, doesn't she?
I don't even know. Like, this is
I recognize
so-
that. I recognize that actress. Like, I recognize her from things she did when she was a little bit older and things that she did when she was younger.
Yeah. Because yeah, she was in Dungeons & Dragons before there. Let's see, she was in American Beauty. Let's see, Strange Alaska, Clear and Present Danger. She plays the little girl in that. She's in Hocus
She
Pocus.
looks like the never-ending story chick. That's probably why I'm thinking that.
But you'd
she
also
looks
know
like
her
her.
from Hocus Pocus.
Yeah,
where she played the little girl.
She's the little sister in Hocus Pocus.
So yeah, so she's been in some stuff, and she's the Empress who has this scepter that can control dragons apparently. And so it's like, oh, I'm gonna find a way to take the scepter from her.
Hold on, I'm gonna ask a question really quick because I don't remember, and I didn't know D&D when this movie came out, so I didn't know what. Does it follow any rules of the world of D&D at all?
Not
No.
that I know.
Okay. So that at this point, everything that we know, the new D&D movie has a step up already.
Yeah.
Because there's a dog in here. I didn't realize that. Hi, baby.
So it really didn't at all. I mean, it's like, what's this blue lips?
Oh my gosh, I just don't understand.
I don't understand
Jeremy
the blue
Irons'
lips.
face.
Oh, I know. And he makes that face all the time throughout the movie.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like the everything in this movie was so bad.
And here's your adventuring party.
What is
So we
with
got
the
one of the
dwarf's hair?
Yes, don't you love that makeup job, that beard
hair
job?
work is horrible.
Like, I've seen small Santa Clauses with better beards than this. So in here in our party, we have the two thieves. Now,
And a freaking who is that? It's not a Coen brother. That's a
Wayne's, one of the
Wayne's
Wayne's brothers. Yeah, it's one of the Wayne's brothers. So, and he throughout the whole movie is just...
He tries to be the comic relief. Relief. You guys, why can't I talk?
Well, the problem with this is that there's almost no one really playing it straight in it. It's all comic relief.
They like tried to a different. The one thing I do remember from this movie is that they tried to play it straight a handful of times, and it didn't work.
His name was Snails. Thank you, Lost Tribes Gaming. Yeah, the Wayne's brothers character's name was Snails. So here's the whole premise.
Because why wouldn't
Bad guy wants scepter control dragons. Mm-hmm. It doesn't work. He ends up having to kill a dragon, which he kills easily, by the way. And
I killed the dragon. Well, my character killed the dragon.
Yes. Which causes flames on the river, which everyone's like, oh no, wizards. But then that gives the idea of, all the main wizards, the governing body of this country are all wizards. Non-wizards have no citizenship.
Racist?
And so they're like, we're going to go raid and steal from the wizards while they're dealing with this fire. So our main characters go and try and steal it. They steal stuff. They aren't very successful. And then this girl in the purple, no. There's a scene where the main character, thief, was holding the scepter and was acting so bad. And he's acting so bad. Like, his face is the one thing I clearly remember from this movie. I pulled up some images of that. Unfortunately, most of them were small, and so they didn't work on the screen. But yeah, it's really, really, really bad. The dwarves also awful. We've got it's too bad you can't see my mouse on this, but we've got the girl in the purplish color. She's one of the wizards. She works at the place where they tried to rob. She's the one who has the map to go get the dragon scepter, wraps them into it. They then they find themselves in a thieves' cant type guild place where they have this dungeon you go into, and you have to get through it and get through all the traps.
Why?
I don't know.
Because it's called Dungeons and Dragons?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Okay. Well, so they got dragons, they got a dungeon, and then they've got these guys. And so that's what they thought all it needed. In the end, there's nobody. I don't know anybody who likes this movie. Ever.
I've never heard of anyone who says that they liked this movie. Is it bad enough to like...
No.
Laugh at, though? Like, it's not so bad it's good?
Cringe at.
Oh, that's bad. Okay.
Then we got Dungeons and Dragons: Wrath of the Dragon God.
I have seen...
I was not able to watch this movie because I cannot find it in English.
Really?
I can only find it in other languages.
Why could you watch it in Espanol?
I couldn't find it in that. I could only find it in a language that I couldn't even identify what it was.
Weston speaks Espanol.
So it wasn't Russian, and it wasn't Spanish, and it wasn't English.
You're like, I could kind of understand what was going on if it was Russian.
I knew it wasn't any of those. Interesting thing about this. This one is considered the best of the Dungeons and Dragons movies. It is a sequel to the previous movie.
Are you serious?
Here's our bad guy.
What? Who's in it?
This is supposed to take place 100 years after the original movie. Our main bad guy.
I did not know that. Jeremy Irons.
Jeremy Irons' character.
Grinning Man.
Apparently cursed him with lichdom, with undead. Being the undead, he manages to get the undead curse off of him. But again, this one's all about controlling dragons. Once again, there's a black dragon that is being kept somewhere. Its power is held in this orb. He wants the orb to control the dragon. It's the exact same premise. Here is the saving grace. So there it is. There's the orb. And it controls this dragon. Special effects in this movie are not very good. You're thinking Nintendo 64 early days. However,
that's bad.
Here's our good guy. He is the captain of the guard in the same city where the first show takes place. The first movie takes place.
Okay.
The advantage this one had is they actually brought in Gygax and actually have spells,
real spells
from the game, abilities from the game. There's the main guy has a Vorpal sword, and it's called the Vorpal blade.
Wow.
So they actually, if this one from the reviews I read, is actually feels the most like a Dungeons and Dragons campaign.
Okay. Cool.
The special effects are bad. I couldn't watch it to really judge on the acting. But from what I've read, it actually isn't bad.
He looks appropriately moody.
Yes. And we have our crew there. We have gotten
that does not look nearly as ridiculous.
No, it doesn't it?
No.
So we've got why the barbarian is always female. I still don't understand.
I think it's because men have this fantasy of women smashing and killing things and then having sex with them.
Okay, maybe. And
Just
this is a
throwing it out
family
there.
friendly.
I'm sorry, guys. Jeez.
But in this crew, he's got him. He's the fighter. They based all of these actually off of characters. So apparently, from what I was able to find out,
Red Sonja.
Yeah, Red Sonja.
Duh.
Yep. The main guy he's like a 13th level fighter. The elf sorceress is like a 15th level sorceress or wizard.
Okay.
You've got a 13th level barbarian and a 13th level rogue.
Okay, cool.
And they actually have them doing things that fit their class throughout the show.
Okay, so yeah, that right there, 100% like above and beyond what that first.
They have some
movie
lore
was.
drops. They explain. So the main character, his wife, can use magic, and she explains divine versus arcane magic.
Oh, cool.
At
okay.
the end of the movie, she gets brought into the Wizards Guild and stuff like that. So
hey, Synth Knight. Hi, dudes.
this is one reason why this one is viewed as better. Is it's more closely. It actually brings in mechanics. It is a noble warrior who has his party to go and do a quest.
Yeah.
Very fitting for Dungeons and Dragons.
Okay, so this is like a Dungeons and Dragons movie. Why? What in the world is this?
Dungeons and Dragons 3. The Book of Vile Darkness.
Wait, is this the one with the phallic craziness?
Oh, I didn't take a picture of that.
I don't want to get deplatformed because of that picture. Thank you very much.
And one thing I want to start with on this is, so the other two Dungeons and Dragons movies, like the original one to be like almost PG. Like I would be fine with my little kid, my boys watching the original
first one.
Yeah. Which honestly, I feel like
it.
the original Dungeons and Dragons movie was written for like 10-year-olds.
It kind of seemed like it, but I don't know. Like there was that scene where there was like a worm in the guy's ear. I remember
that was kind of creepy.
and that was creepy.
That was kind of creepy. Michael would be fine with that though.
Michael would be totally fine with that. This is our child who loves horror.
I watched this one. This is a rated R. There is nudity. No, there's nudity.
There's
nude,
babe.
Well, yeah, I skip parts. Come on. But yeah, so it is definitely a rated R. Didn't know I'm going into it, but it is a rated R movie. So don't watch this one with your kids.
This is a family-friendly show, we are going to give the advice: don't watch this movie.
So this is the main character.
That's not a bad-looking scar.
Yeah, I watched it for science. I have to say, I liked the premise of this movie.
He actually did. He kept turning around and telling me, he's like, this is actually not a bad movie. But then he would show me funny, ridiculous scenes.
Yes.
And I'm like, are you serious right now?
CGI wasn't great in this either. It was better than number 2, CGI-wise. I liked the premise of this one. So the premise is, this is our main character. He is just
like Chef Versary in the movie. Yep.
Yes.
That was for science too.
I watched that episode recently.
I have seen that episode.
But he is actually a knight of the sun god, like Pelor. Mm-hmm. And he is just being brought into the knighthood. But none of them actually have had the god give them powers.
Bestow
so
anything
none of them are
upon
paladins. They're all warriors who wish they could be paladins.
Yeah, that's true.
And so this is where, so he's there. He's about to try and become a paladin. He goes to the Pillar of Pelor.
And you guys, I know it's all men in our audience right now. It is exactly what you think it is. Exactly what you think it is.
It looks, yeah.
It is anatomically correct. It's creepy.
But
has there been a good fantasy live action movie?
Yes, there
have you
Lord
watched
of the Rings?
Lord of the Rings?
And this one was made in, the movies came out in 2000, 2010, 2012 is when these movies came out.
Oh, okay.
So this one, though, so here's the story, though. His father, they get attacked by some evil people. Mm-hmm. Father is taken. A bunch of them are killed. So he's like, I got to get my dad back.
So he needs Liam Neeson.
No. But he does find a group with a very specific set of skills. But not like you think. He goes and decides to infiltrate the bad guys. So you have your lawful good,
what you do.
Your lawful good paladin goes and jumps into a party of evil murder hobos.
I feel like they did that just for conflict.
It works fairly well, though, because there's a lot of internal struggle and a lot of questions
because
of good
he thinks
versus
she's
evil.
That right?
That does take part in it as well.
Yeah. Is it her nudity?
Hers, and then the Goliath, which is hard to see. He's there. You can only see the bit of him.
Is he the grayish blue one?
Yeah, he's a Goliath.
And he's also nude?
He's in an orgy. So...
What is this movie?
Yeah. Like I said, I had to skip some
parts.
parts.
You said you liked it?
The premise. Yes. I had to skip that part. It's like, luckily you can do skip. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so premise was interesting. It's called the Book of Vile Darkness, which is an actual item in Dungeons & Dragons. Mm-hmm. And so they...
Did this one follow along at all?
Lore-wise, yes.
Lore and items,
abilities.
And stuff? Okay.
One of them is a wizard. He's a bit of a necromancer, and there's the ability where you can have your eye float out a certain distance. Az has that ability.
Please don't ever do it.
Well, it doesn't have to look like that, but they use that skill. Dragons in both numbers 2 and 3 are actually bad news. In Dungeons & Dragons, the first movie, there's like 100 dragons and the city's fine afterwards.
Yeah.
Dungeons & Dragons 2, one dragon destroys almost the whole city.
Well,
and in
it's
this
like in Game of Thrones, how one single dragon can destroy everything. Goliath bard, like women, watches the club over and drinks them.
Yeah, there you go.
True. D&D's equivalent to the
Necronomicon,
I think. Oh, okay, cool.
So it's a pretty evil book. The idea is that they're getting the pages and things here, and then they actually want his father because they need to extract pain from a paladin of a righteous god for the ink for the Book of Vile Darkness.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's pretty dark. But it's, honestly, as far as a fantasy story goes...
Weston liked it, apparently.
I was like,
with all the phallic symbols and everything.
If I could have cut out some other stuff that I didn't quite want, this wouldn't be bad. But yeah, so the 2 and 3, 2 if you can find it.
Wait, I think I have the answer to my initial question. Lord of the Rings. Yeah. Lord of the Rings is the best fantasy movie by itself and series, I personally think, of all time. And it has held up so beautifully because they did almost all of the special effects with some type of physical, real element. So they were able to map everything very, very good, and our eyes don't see it as in like the uncanny valley. They don't see it as fake.
And that's, of course, Lord of the Rings trilogy, not including The Hobbit.
No, The Hobbit,
takes a step down.
That was just an exercise in I don't even know what that was. That was sadness.
It's better than a lot of them, but it
movie.
definitely is.
Why aren't there any others? I think there aren't any others because it's so expensive. It is so expensive to do those movies right. And honestly, because if they're taking it from a non-original source, so if they aren't writing it themselves, every studio that has the money to do that stuff also wants to put their own agendas within the material themselves. So they're not doing Wheel of Time and doing Wheel of Time. They're twisting Wheel of Time to become something that is not what the original Wheel of Time series was about.
Started on the Wheel of Time.
Same thing with this Rings of Power thing. They're talking about how it's supposed to be the Second Age, but they're not actually sticking to the lore that was created for the Second Age. I think that's the biggest problem, is everyone that actually can do a movie like that or do a TV series to that magnitude do not stay close to or true to the original source material.
It's also the fact that to Hollywood, well, what is a fantasy live action? Because to them, Thor is fantasy live action. To them,
what do you mean we have Michael J. Fox and Frighteners to thank for Lord of the Rings?
Yeah, Frighteners was the movie made before Lord of the Rings by Peter Jackson. And because that did well, they were willing to
take a leap on him.
Give him more stuff.
When he took on the job of, I'm sorry, this has turned into a Lord of the Rings dump, but when he took on the job of Lord of the Rings, he'd only had 3 movies under his belt.
Which Frighteners, I believe, was one of those.
Was one of them.
I've watched
there
it,
was
and
another
I liked
one.
it.
There was another one that was a smaller budget one that he did with Kate Winslet. That was kind of horror. It was like this weird dreamscape show. So
they used the computer bays. I don't understand the bays.
They used the computer bays from that movie.
So apparently he brought some of the stuff he did from
that movie
and used it in.
Well, they had to invent whole new types of technology for Lord of the Rings because it didn't exist.
So why don't they generally do this? It takes the right director who respects the source material.
Yeah.
You look at the Dungeons and Dragons movie. What was the problem with it? Is they didn't have any respect for the source material. To them, this is just a fantasy movie. We need dragons. We need swords. We need magic. Okay, fine. We'll throw it together. Oh, yeah. And since it's fantasy, we're going to gear it towards
kids.
Tweens.
Yeah. Computer base equals CG equipment. Yeah.
And so that's who they geared it to. They geared it towards, like, I watch it now and I'm like, you know what? This looks exactly like the shows our 9-year-old watches.
Yeah.
Lava Boy and
Shark Girl. Oh my gosh.
Shark Boy
and Lava Girl. Yeah.
And you know, those type of movies, like
all of those ones.
Oh yeah, this fits in perfectly. Spy Kids.
Yeah.
It fits in perfectly. Yeah. That was the age group they geared the show towards. Mm-hmm. They didn't take what was, the true. I mean, technically, he says a fantasy live action. To a lot of people in Hollywood, Stranger Things is a fantasy live action.
I would consider that more a horror.
It's got fanciful creatures. It's got monsters that attack you, and then they fight them back. The reason it wouldn't necessarily be horror is they win.
Most horrors, they
11
win.
is a sorceress or a warlock, one or the other.
Yeah.
And then you've got your fighter. There's been lots of things, saying, okay, who is the D&D class of each of these people? So
yeah.
The one thing is, I think there's a lot of fantasy has gotten spread out as a genre.
Yeah.
And so then this is fantasy. It's like, no, that's like horror. That's urban fantasy.
Well, it's like technically all of the Marvel stuff would be considered fantasy.
It would be, which is always annoying when you go to look for a fantasy.
And they include all of that. And you're like, no, sword and sorcery.
And as much as I don't like the content of it, if you're talking fantasy live actions, mm-hmm. It's not a movie, but it's a show. The what's the big one? The HBO Game of Thrones was very well done.
Yeah, and technically that was fantasy as well, but it was definitely geared towards LOL, my head hurts now. You asked the question.
So let's bring it back though to the topic at hand. Mm-hmm. Dungeons & Dragons movies. We've got now Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves. Okay, mm-hmm. I'm gonna start.
Hey, Papa, how are you? We haven't seen you in a hot minute. Sorry. Not to call you on the carpet. I was just saying.
I want to start with my issue with the title. And
I know it should be amongst, not among. Honor Amongst Thieves.
Okay, I'm not an English major, so
I'm sorry. It just bugs me every single time I see it.
If you are a grammar person, because I'm not, and you can tell me.
Amongst.
But here's my issue with this.
Okay.
They're going back to this original thing of, we're a group of thieves. If I'm not mistaken, from all of my experience, Dungeons and Dragons, Pathfinder, any of these, you go out as a band of adventurers. You get hired to do things, generally not a band of thieves. I don't understand why Hollywood wants to continue to do bands of thieves for Dungeons and Dragons. That was the original movie, and that's this one. There's a lot of people that, looking at different aspects of this as we go through the trailer, we'll talk about it, making you think that they're almost trying to remake the original rather than make a completely new premise. They're like, we're just going to take the movie, we're going to take the old one, and we're going to make it in different ways. Well, I imagine they're trying to tap in the Critical Role field. Definitely. They're going to do that. Like, they kind of should, because that is, that's the crowd that right now is watching D&D stuff. That's the larger audience. If they got all the people that watch Critical Role to come watch this movie, they've already made their money back. So they definitely are trying to tap into the Critical Role. But even Critical Role, Vox Machina is not a group of thieves. So again, I just don't get it why they're like, a group of thieves, that's the way to do Dungeons and Dragons. It's like, no, they're adventurers who could take on adventuring quests. It's more like Witcher than the other. So I'm going to wait for Hayley to get back here. Apparently we had a child awaken from his not so deep slumber. And I'm going to see if she's coming back. Nope, apparently. And one thing we didn't bring up in this, talking about this, technically, even though it's not called a Dungeons and Dragons show, Legends of Vox Machina, since you brought up Critical Role, Legends of Vox Machina is a Dungeons and Dragons show. It's done in... Yeah, ragtag bunch of ruffians is a trope for a reason. And it works. But that doesn't necessarily have to mean you do thieves. I just found that interesting that the original, Dungeons and Dragons movie in 2000 was a set of thieves. And when they decided to do a new one, they go back to a set of thieves rather than anything else they could have done. Yeah, they aren't rogues. Definitely. We got barbarians like that, and we will get into that in just a minute. Well, I think because apparently Hayley's not coming back, I wonder if I've got a bigger issue. So what we're going to do then is we're going to take a quick 5-minute break. So go use the restroom, stuff like that, while we get ready to jump into this main topic, and I go see what Hayley needs. So go hit the restroom, get a drink of water, get your snacks, and then come right back, and we're going to go through this trailer. this one would have gotten more. Maybe I'll get more on.
Yeah, I think that was a really good investment for us to have made. All right, we're back.
They can hear you.
Hey, we're back. You can't see us, but you can hear us. And now you can see us.
There we go. All right. Sorry about that. We were doing the parenting thing.
I have to fix my camera. Oh my gosh, my head's not cut off anymore.
There you go. Okay, so I was just ranting with them that, like, I'm like, okay, they did Thieves in the 2001. They suddenly go back and they're going to do Thieves again. Can't you do something different?
Well, from what I understand, this is supposed to be the foundational movie for an entire D&D CU.
Oh, and I'm fine with that, but, like, couldn't you give me an adventuring party instead of a group of thieves just like you did in the first one?
No, because think about what most groups are.
They aren't thieves.
They're like idiots, though.
This is true.
And what's the easiest way to convey idiots in film?
A group of football players.
So this should have been a group of barbarians?
Yes, it should have been a bunch.
Thieves gives you a really good reason to have multiple classes all together.
Really?
With different skills.
I don't know. Tomb Raiders would have been a cooler one.
That would have been fun.
We're going to do this almost like the Tomb Raider movie, but with an adventuring party. It's Indiana Jones you can do. You can do lots of things.
But aren't all of them just thieves?
I don't know. National Geographic might disagree with you.
Tomb Raider? Tomb Raider. Raiding of the tombs.
Unless you're donating it to a museum.
Okay.
Isn't that what Indiana Jones always said? It belongs in a museum.
But he was still a freaking thief.
I don't. Drop in, Jeff. You think that Indiana Jones is a thief?
Indiana Jones and Lara Croft, were they thieves?
They were archaeologists.
Okay. And we're hoping that we don't get a copyright strike because we might for this, but
let's go ahead.
We're going to watch a trailer.
Okay, so I am going to let me double check that you guys can hear it. Turn this up a little bit. All right. So this might blow your ears out just a little bit at first, but I'm going to watch the audio and make sure it doesn't get too loud. Okay, wait. I already got to go back.
Why? Those are moments in the trailer. Let's just keep going.
You want to watch it through first?
Yes.
Okay, then we'll go back and talk.
Here's the thing. We're a team of thieves.
Yep.
And when you do this, you're bound to make enemies. Sometimes those enemies come looking for revenge.
Love the acid. Love the acid breath.
Truth be told, we helped the wrong person steal the wrong thing. We didn't
Hello,
unleash the
Underdark. How are
greatest
you?
evil the world has ever known. But we're gonna fix it.
Well, how do we pull
spell.
that off? Figure it out over a drink?
Probably best.
You need Kool-Aid.
To give us a fighting chance, we're gonna need strength. You got this, right?
I know you don't.
We also need courage, magic,
Paladin, sorcerer,
and you.
druid. I love it turning from a horse into an owlbear.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute.
What is that again? It's an owl bear.
Only watch that part at a time.
Be warned. There is evil here.
I'm glad he's on our side.
This one's dangerous. But whatever happens,
exactly that you bring to this?
I'm a planner. I make plans.
You've already made the plan, so
If the existing plan fails, I make a new plan.
you make plans that fail.
No,
He also plays the lute.
not relevant.
All right, let's jump back to the beginning here.
I would like to say one thing straight up. So I heard somebody talk about how this is very much like the new iteration of the MCU, where it's like it doesn't take itself seriously and it kind of like does all this gaffy, jokey
Yes, it does.
thing. However, if you look at the way that Chris Pine is playing his character, he's not playing up the jokes.
No.
He's playing them very real. Like these are real conversations with real people, and these are real jokes that are being told in time. It's not like that pause beat that Marvel has where it's like, I'm going to tell a joke beat, and then it's like wait for laughs kind of thing. Like it feels like it's been played very straight.
Nothing goes over my head. My reflexes too fast. I would catch them.
Probably one of the best comedic characters in all of the MCU.
So, all right. So
But I just wanted to make that point. Like this is going to have a lot of laughs in it, and it's going to be a little silly. But I do feel like the actors are trying to play this straight.
So, all right. So now do I have permission to pause at different points?
Yes, you squealed so much seeing the Displacer Beast. I know that I squealed that way in that same scene, but for the gelatinous cube, not the Displacer Beast.
Yes. So, what? There we go. Can I go back?
What? We got the helmet?
No, I can't go back.
You.
It won't let me grab the. There we go. Okay, so there it is.
Right there. We've got 2 of the party members jumping into a gelatinous cube.
Actually, there's 3.
3?
If you look at it closer, there's 3 jumping into the gelatinous cube.
To get away from the Displacer Beast.
Which it's interesting. I think one thing they're definitely not going to be doing in this is paying attention necessarily to how difficult should this creature be. A Displacer Beast is only a level a CR3.
That's true. That is
it's
true.
It's not like...
But they're creepy as hell.
Yeah. But I mean, unless these are level 1, level 2 characters...
Which I don't think they are.
I'm surprised they're running away from a Displacer Beast.
But there's probably other stuff going on in this scene. Because I think the mimic also is from this scene. You look at the sighting, and then you look at the sighting from the labyrinthy-like thing going on with the mimic. I think that's coming from the same scene.
Wait, was Lost Times Gaming? I've got my Displacer Beast
plushie. Oh my gosh!
Boy.
Seriously? Tentacle Kitty. Oh, DM fudge the stats. Shakes fist.
Yes, that might happen.
Yes, that's exactly what happened in this situation.
Okay, so he's got something on his head. We're gonna
look at that great stare, though.
That is a good stare. Some dimensional door type
I
thing.
was about to say, I pretty much think that's Dimension Door.
Now, there is some question about this character, which it's hard to see.
She does not. I have watched this trailer now like 3 or 4 times. She does not have cloven hooves.
Does not.
She has human feet.
You can't even see them.
She has human feet.
I don't know. I see a backwards.
Human feet.
I see a backwards tilt there at the bottom.
No, she has human feet and she is wearing boots.
Because there is a question of, is she a tiefling or is she like a satyr?
She's a tiefling.
And we don't know yet.
She's a tiefling.
Black dragon.
Yep, black dragon with acid breath.
Now,
is this fireball?
It better not be.
Or
you can't
meteor.
Block. Ooh, what's meteor?
I think this might be meteor.
I was thinking fire bolt.
It could be fire bolt or it could be meteor. The only thing with this not being meteor is that meteor normally encompasses a area and meteor shower is meteor shower.
There's meteor swarm.
Yeah, same thing.
But there's actually not a spell that is.
But it looks like a rock.
Right.
So like if you go forward just a teeny bit more, if you put it on half speed,
oh, true.
You can do this a little bit easier.
So 0.25?
Whatever you want to do. It's fine. Oh geez.
I'm gonna turn off the music.
Yeah, I was about to say turn the sound off. It looks like a rock.
But the way it hits his shield is like it's a...
Yeah, the spell is Meteor Swarm.
Yeah, so I think, boom.
And then it explodes.
I don't know. I could see Firebolt.
I can see
because that's an
Firebolt,
AC
too.
based
Could be
one.
a catapult ammo. It could be. It could be
be.
coming from some type of catapult. Anyway, but yes. Okay, so we're moving
So we've got
forward.
our-
So we're in Neverwinter. We are in Neverwinter. This is the castle. This is the beautifulness of the castle. You can see the flags.
Which it's good. I mean, the city looks decent.
Yeah,
it's definitely
it's very clean.
It's a very clean fantasy. This is not a gritty fantasy. This is a very clean fantasy.
Yeah, that was my one thing with watching this. I was like, oh my gosh, this is a very clean city. But that is the dragon later in the trailer. That is the dragon statue later in the trailer that you can see. And you can see that they've got the flags for Neverwinter, the normal Neverwinter flags, but then they also have Palor flags.
Which I mean, he's a deity of this of the area. I wonder if this city he is the patron deity of.
Yeah. Oh, DM'd me a picture of the plushie. Let's see it.
So now we get into something that
Oh my gosh.
oh jeez.
It is so cute. Okay, I'm in love.
Well, look at, I mean, there's some interesting lore pieces here. You watch
So we
as
get
you
our
go through.
first image of a dungeon.
This is an interesting, you got these statues. I bet there's some cool lore pieces there. This is where it looks like
They get a helm from this that goes to the paladin, because the paladin
Which
wears
why
it
do we have
later
a
on.
paladin in a group of thieves?
That's what I'm wondering, if it's a Palor thing. If there was because I'm pretty sure that's later in the movie. That's not at the beginning.
Okay, so that might be later on. They need to get this helm of Palor to help them to defeat the baddies.
Yeah.
I could see that. Totally see that.
I definitely feel that is what's happening.
Well, and you
the
notice
acid
later on-
breath is so nice, though, because we're so used to seeing fire-breathing dragons and all this stuff. To see a black dragon with true to lore, true to monster, with acid breath, that then you see it's destroying the trebuchet. I mean, it's so heartwarming.
Well, and there's lots of different breath that we get throughout this.
Yes. Which is awesome. It destroys, completely takes out the trebuchet, which is so cool.
We've got some interesting fantasy armor we can tell there. Look at just, whoops.
Because it makes sense. It would light the acid on fire. That is so cool. Someone pointed out one of the characters has a Harper's. Yes, Chris Pine's character later on has a Harper's pin
What's a Harper's pin?
on his shirt. It's one of the aren't they a guard? Synth Knight, remind me. Aren't they guards of Neverwinter? I recognized the name, but I couldn't remember. A guild. It's a guild.
Oh, okay. Let's see. Okay, yeah. Harper's pin, Forgotten Realms. Lesser Harper's pin were silver brooches that were given to new members of the Harpers. So let's see. The Harpers. The Harpers, or those who harp, are a semi-secret
Good
organization
factions.
dedicated to promoting good, preserving history, and maintaining a balance between civilization
That's
and
why
nature.
he's a thief. Because he's Indiana Jones. He's
There we go.
preserving history.
Oh, boy. I did like what Synth Knight said earlier. He's like, some countries would like their national treasures back.
Yeah, they would. America. Jeez. Okay, so we've got some cool...
Now,
See,
I do
this
have-
is it. This is where he has the Harper's pin, right there.
Which,
And he's with the sorcerer at that point, and the person that betrayed him.
why is the bard wearing studded leather medium armor?
Because he's not a true bard. He only took a freaking level in bard. He's a fighter with a few levels in bard. Does anybody else does anybody else agree with me on that one?
Which, Shadiversity is a huge thing. He freaked out because with studded leather armor actually is not a thing in history.
Historical.
Yeah, it's not. And
He's like,
hates
that's
it.
not something that you can actually do.
It doesn't work. But yeah, so there's the Harper's pin. Good catch there.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if this horn,
Multi-class into fighter, not
Yeah.
multi-class into bard. So that's the bad person. That's what we're assuming. That's the bad person. But there's also a feeling that they are part of the Tandoran. Shoot. I don't remember the name,
Tal'Dorei?
No, not
Who's on the
Tal'Dorei.
Tal'Dorei Council?
Not the Tal'Dorei Council, but they're like a cult of people, and he's
Yeah.
like their leader.
We see the horn.
And that is not Vecna.
No, but
Even though some people did think that was Vecna at first.
you got to wonder, though, that horn, is that like a blowing horn, or is that like the Horn of Orcus, which is an actual item in D&D?
Well, and it's an evil item in
It
D&D
is.
too.
So I could see something like that.
Didn't mean to unleash the greatest evil. Is she a red wizard of Thay? Yes, red wizard of Thay. That's what it was. Thay. That's what, and I don't know anything about that, but I've heard that from multiple people that they felt like this was from that organization, the Wizards of Thay.
We can definitely tell this is probably an undead that is
Some
using
type
this.
of
I mean, you
lich.
look at that face.
Yeah, it's like a skeletal type lich.
Now we got shield going up.
Yep,
Shield
with the wizards,
spells.
they're like keeping people in, and then a nice slow spell.
I've had
happening.
people call this a slow spell, but slow spells you only cast on an individual, not necessarily an area of effect, from what I understand.
It's a. I feel like. Are you sure?
Yeah. Unless it's a 5-foot square, I don't think so. I'd have to double check my.
Evil wizards with a perchant for necromancy. Yep.
I'd have to check on
Those
my.
evil wizards and that necromancy. I've just got to say, it's really rude that everyone keeps interrupting them. They just want to raise their family in peace.
Yeah.
Do.
Oh no. Okay. So slow in D&D does allow you to do multiple creatures, up to 6 creatures of your choice in a 40-foot cube.
Which explains the next shot where Chris Pine's character is not slowed, but Michelle Rodriguez's is.
Okay, so he was not caught up in the slow spell.
He was not caught in the
but
effect.
these other ones were. Mm-hmm. Interesting idea.
So this is
Ooh, look
do
at
you
that.
see the spider?
Yeah, I just want to go back
the
to that.
giant spider. Look at that spider. Oh, so if you can't see it, it's on the right-hand side of the screen, and it's on the side of the tree. It's red. It's like nasty. Ugh.
I imagine this is this forest dying. But
Probably
from the ground
of
up
some type
instead
of
of from
plague.
the leaves down.
Yeah, probably from some sort of plague. Which I'm assuming is what the red horn created. And of course, there's the typical, let's go to the tavern.
Gotta go to the tavern.
Because the party has to meet in the tavern.
We got definitely great locations.
Yes,
as opposed to
filmed in
CGI stuff.
Yeah, they filmed in some beautiful
Now
locations.
here, you notice he's in chains.
He is in that moment? Are you sure? No, he's not.
Is it not? Both of them have their hands down there in front of them as if they were. Yeah.
Oh,
there's a block there between the hands.
They are both.
So I think this is.
And there's his loot. You can see his loot on his back.
Yep. So they are in. They are
Nice
being.
scroll work.
I'm
there.
guessing this is where they find out that they stole the wrong thing
From the
for
wrong
bad
person.
people.
Yeah.
And the good people have just caught them, and then they find out. Do you realize what you did?
Yeah. And because that's the druid. That looked like the druid behind them. As well.
And we've got some, fire enchantments apparently on this.
On some
this weapon.
Good weapons.
Yeah, because you notice when she starts this fight, she's in the handcuffs.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
I feel like that is not.
Watch it
No.
when she hits. Boom.
I just feel like she has her hands together because the way she's holding it.
Holding what? She's
She's holding a thing.
Yeah, there's.
No, she's holding a thing.
I think that's.
Go
she's in the
back. Go
handcuffs.
back again. Go back again.
Should I go down
Okay, just
slower?
play it. No, don't go down slower. Just play it. So she pulls up the axe.
Different
That is the
scene.
thing. It has sparks off of his helmet.
Yeah, as she hits her metal restraints.
No, they're
against
not
his
metal
face.
restraints. They were okay, fine. We are gonna have to agree to disagree on that one.
Boom. Slams him.
So there's the paladin.
Okay, we're about to get to my most hated spot in this. Oh my gosh, what is this thing?
Oh, did you see that CGI though? No, go back. There is no blade there for a second.
There isn't.
No blade. And then suddenly it comes out. So either it's a retractable blade in the handle or the CGIers did not put it in fast enough.
The CGIers didn't put it in fast enough because if you look at the character poster, it shows him with the dagger
pulling
coming
it out. Okay, yeah. Okay, so let's watch that again. Hold on. Put it down in speed again. You guys, I'm sorry. I'm such a nerd. I'm such a nerd about this kind of stuff. So, okay, so it's going there. It's going through. And it's not there for a second. There it is. It's not there. Can you screenshot that? Because I want to post this on our Twitter. Because it is not there. And, like, I see this kind of stuff. I love the fact that we can go so bloody freaking slow. Because, like, oh, my gosh. I might just
froze the whole screen for everybody.
Sorry.
But I'm not sure. So, hopefully not.
Hopefully not. Anyway, moving on.
But this is also so stupid. Why on earth
Why would you have a sword
this?
that does that? That
Why
is the
I'm going to
stupidest
get
thing.
rid of the length. A Shadowversity goes off on this like
Does
crazy.
he really? Oh,
Because
that's
he's
hilarious.
like, why on earth would you get rid of your sword, which is this long?
The only thing that I can think is he's trying to throw it. And so instead of throwing the entire sword, he's throwing the dagger part or the like.
The only reason
he's throwing the sword, holding onto a handle that's actually a dagger. But the problem with that is you'd have to figure out a way to release it really quickly. But if there is a release, then there is not enough strength in it to be an effective sword.
Well, on top of that, then now you don't have a sword.
Yeah, you just have this piece little
You have
dagger.
this little dagger. So I think this is one of those things where people who don't know try and do something they think is cool, and it's just like.
Well, and I bet you there are people that were like, this doesn't actually work physics-wise. And they were probably like, it doesn't matter. It's cool. Like, we're going to do it. It's cool. Rule of cool. This is D&D. Rule of cool.
Yeah, it's probably some magical item, but it's a lame magic.
Like an animated sword or something.
And then
Magic.
he's got this.
So he's got, oh no, he has
that's
the
the
helm.
helmet. That's the helmet
has
from
the
earlier
helm.
on.
Okay.
So and
this is
apparently does some
something-
magic. It's a magical item.
But what he's doing here, to go through, have him do the spell, because it seems like he's doing, I had somebody talk about this. Like what
Boom.
spell he's doing. He's doing some type of shockwave spell, and I'm trying to remember which one it is. If you can think of what spell this is, put it in the chat, because I'm struggling.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't remember what
I
spell
don't
this
know
is.
enough D&D spells.
Somebody was talking about it, and he was like, you can cast that spell without the helm, like unless, like that's like it's not connected to a magical item. So,
But in this case, he's using it from a magical item.
Thunderwave. Yes, I think that's what it is. I
see-
think it's Thunderwave because you can cast that.
Except for if you're looking at this, it's going through.
It goes through everything. Like it
That's-
explodes.
That's something bigger. Shatter, maybe.
Well, and that's what the idea is. Maybe is the helmet actually expands it, so it makes it bigger.
Yeah, it does. And then here's the moment
So
where
here's where
everyone
they're-
gets angry.
Yes, so this is where the most controversy has shown up with this movie is this part right here. Besides the
apparently
fact that
she's
that's
the horse.
Michelle Rodriguez stunt double, but that's fine.
Oh my gosh, they didn't
They didn't do a face replacement there. That is Michelle Rodriguez stunt double.
That's wow.
It's fine.
She jumps up
Turns
and
into
becomes
a freaking owlbear. Like, how cool is this, though?
So here's the thing, from what I understand.
Upcasted in a higher spell slot.
But here's the problem.
Yes.
Here's the problem, from what I understand, with this is that as a druid, you can wild shape into an animal.
Not a
An
beast.
owlbear is considered a beast.
Yeah.
It is not allowed. So I've heard two sides on this issue.
Yeah.
The one side is you can't do this. Why are you doing this? You got it wrong.
Yeah.
The other side is a hopefulness that exists in some people that they're going to let them do things in this movie, and then Wizards is going to
Release
take that
subclasses.
and releases subclasses that let you do that. So it
Yeah.
would be a beast druid, where you can't transform into regular animals. You can only do beasts, or something like that.
But she was a horse.
I got a horse.
I want a horse. So it would have to be something
Sure.
that's like an addition to, because she is a horse and then she turns into this awesome owlbear. But that aside, the animation and the
Is great.
CGI on this owlbear is unreal. Do you see how they actually animate the motion of the muscle
And the
like
feathers.
the musculature underneath, so that moves, and then all of the feathers move with it. Like, I mean, it's so awesome.
There was a lot of time spent in post-production on that.
Yes, that I bet you there was an entire team of people just doing that sequence.
Oh, the reason why you can't change into them is they're magically
Yeah, they're
bred
magically
by-
bred by wizards. That it's the idea that they were a wizard experiment that went like haywire.
And then
he
she
lost control.
dropped her wild shape, jumped on the horse.
See, that's where you can see she has feet. That's the part where you can see she has feet. She has feet, and
Yeah,
they're
she
in the
does. They're in the
stirrups.
stirrups. You're
She's
right.
Boots on.
And then she takes off her little arm slingshot, which is interesting.
Which makes me wonder: is it actually a magic item that allowed her to turn into an owlbear?
That's interesting.
And she's
thought.
taking it off.
And then we got a dragon.
So this is the dragon that was in the city at the beginning. So the question
stone-
is, why in the world?
Is this actually a dragon or is it an animated
I think
statue?
it's an animated statue, but it's a dragon. It's like it's a dragon statue. And then the idea that this is Dimension Door, because she also has a tail, so she has to be a tiefling.
Oh, true. She does have the tail there.
Yeah. I'm all into owlbears ever since Freddie Prinze Jr. played one in pro wrestling D&D game once. What are you talking about?
I have no idea.
This.
So then she comes through.
So she
swoosh.
comes through here.
Interesting
Yeah,
way
that's
of doing it.
totally Dimension Door.
I think so. They're
Then
coming
we're
down.
in a cave.
This is
or
probably when they went down.
petrified dragon.
Now,
Oh, that's an interesting idea.
This
is the Underdark.
This
Oh my
right here
gosh.
has gotten a lot of hype. It was an actual play. That was totally hilarious.
Okay, I'm gonna have to look it up. That sounds like fun.
But this has gotten a ton of hype.
Because this is the Underdark.
Yes, but there's a specific reason why. There is an extremely well-known city in the Underdark that is called
drow one?
Mesobarazon.
They think this is Mesobarazon?
People are hoping because then you would have the ability for a
Dritz!
Dritz movie.
Yes!
We're in the Forgotten Realms, Mesobarazon. You have a Dritz Dwarden movie.
That would be awesome.
People would love that. He's the most iconic character from
Of
all
all
of
of the-
D&D,
the
definitely
D&D
Forgotten Realms.
novels.
And so to have Mesobarazon, if that's what this is, would be
Well,
really
I know
cool.
that, like I said, they are planning on this being a foundational movie for a Dungeons and Dragons cinematic universe.
Yes, they are.
Which I think we're all kind of annoyed with the whole cinematic universe thing. It's
Yeah,
just like
yeah.
it's a D&D movie
Franchise.
franchise. So like just go with that.
Yep. And then we've got someone casting Green Flame Blade.
Yep. And is that I did not know this, but are those markings on his forehead? Is that something significant in the world of D&D, or is that just
I don't know.
a thing for the movie?
I'm not sure actually. I'm not as much of an expert in D&D lore as I am in Pathfinder.
I
Since
know.
Pathfinder only
You
has
and I
one
both.
world.
You and I
And it's
both.
what we're playing in right now. Mm-hmm. So we got Green Flame Blade.
Which is cool. We've got the paladin doing the paladin's thing with
And you see he's fighting multiples of them.
yeah. And are these the darker wizards?
Yep.
Yeah, these are the dark wizards.
I was just sitting back and watching them. This must be soon after they get in with him because he's fighting
And they
they're-
don't seem to know what he can do.
No.
Yet. Yeah. It's like, I'm glad he's on our side. It's like me too.
Now, here is one thing. So we got again, chain lightning or
I really do think that that's some type of. I don't think it's fireball
firebolt.
or even firebolt.
So
So we've got this gladiator like situation happening right here.
and I've heard a lot of people look at this, and this is one of the aspects that makes them be like, really? You're just in a lot of ways redoing the original. You got a group of thieves, and then at some point they get put into this obstacle course by the rogue, by the guy leading the thieves stuff. And that's what everyone thinks happens here too.
Well, I don't think so though, because this seems more like they got captured and then they were thrown into a gladiator style ring as like entertainment. So where in the original one, there was no point really for them to go into that dungeon. It was like, oh, you have to prove your worth. We're going to put you in a dungeon.
Well, they got caught by the Thieves Guild, and they're like, okay, if you want us not to kill you, you got to do this thing.
Yeah, but I think that this is more like gladiator style kind of thing. Like, I feel like this has more gumption. Oh my gosh, look at that CGI work on this thing. The strings of saliva and like the tongue that it then like pulls itself towards her. Like, it's so cool.
That's definitely Michelle Rodriguez's character,
Yes.
the barbarian right there.
That is definitely the barbarian.
Boom.
I freaking love it. So the question is like, who is this?
I don't know. But you notice he's in that armor when he
Yeah.
was wearing the...
Harper. He's
yeah.
the Harper. I think he's a Harper at the beginning. I have a feeling what's going to happen is there's going to be a cut. So there's going to be like a before when he's a Harper and he knows the barbarian and the sorcerer. And then there's
Gets
going to be
kicked
an
out.
after. Something happens and there's an after.
You get kicked out for some reason because he's not wearing the pin in the other scenes.
No,
so,
he's not.
So maybe he gets kicked out because of what they did. Mm-hmm. And it's more of a redemption thing.
Kind of thing. You're right. There are 3 bodies there. Yep. But I do think it's really interesting how they're jumping into a gelatinous cube. I don't feel like that's something they should be doing. Maybe. I don't know. But I love how they've made all of these creatures and all these beasts and stuff. They are so true to what the original D&D bestiary or bestiary, however you say it. I could say bestiary. I'm going to stop apologizing for it. How they are so true to form. Like, this gelatinous cube has a skeleton at the bottom of it.
Yep,
like
it's eating away slowly.
And like the displacer beast has all of the extra legs and has the cool tentacle-y things. And the owl bear looks like the freaking owl bear from the books. Like, it's...
Here's a question I have. On the images, they have that, that we talked about at the beginning, they have that intellect devourer. Is there an intellect devourer in this movie?
I wonder if there is, or...
Oh, Sensei Suplex just rated.
Sensei Suplex! What's
Yay!
up? We are talking about the new D&D trailer that just dropped this last weekend. We are currently, we are close to the end of the trailer, but we are literally going frame by freaking frame and talking about what was in it and what mistakes. So I think that, because if you look at all of the other creatures or beasts or animals or whatever on the poster, they're all in the trailer.
They are all in the trailer.
Except for the intellect devourer. So that is a good question. Is it actually in the movie, or is it...
And if it's in the movie, did they base the movie intellect devourer off of the D&D
Pathfinder
art or off the Pathfinder art? Because
Like,
if they did that, because in the movie itself it has a tongue like that, then it's not necessarily the poster artist's fault.
No.
Because they based it off of that.
Yeah.
That's possible.
But the thing is, they outsource the poster design to Boss Logic.
Yep.
And I could not find anything when I was doing some searches online about like what happened with the poster. I could not find anything from Boss Logic themselves.
No.
But I know the company Paramount is the one that put it together. Paramount outsourced it to Boss Logic. I almost guarantee you he didn't know. There's no way he knew.
Well, there's a lot of people who think that it's that, okay, I need to go find images for this. He goes and Googles intellect devourer.
Yeah, they give him like a list of creatures they want on the poster.
And then he grabs that one and he's like, oh, this is a cool image. And that's what he uses.
Well, and it is a more interesting image than the D&D
It is.
version of the intellect devourer. It is a much more interesting image. So it makes sense for him to, from an artistic graphic design perspective, to use the more interesting image. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I bet you he had no idea that there were 2 different versions of this monster And so he just picked the one that was more interesting.
Well-
However, like Paramount within that day
Yeah, they
of it
pulled it.
being released, pulled those posters from circulation. So Hasbro should have provided the files.
I
I
agree.
would assume
You
that
would've
they
think.
should have done that too. Like you would assume like we want these creatures on it, go do that.
Here's our images, but who knows?
Yeah, I do hope that Boss Logic didn't get in trouble for it though, like where it was like we're never going to work with you again kind of thing, because that is a very, very easy mistake to make if they didn't supply them
Yeah.
with the files.
So Displacer Beast.
Nice display.
'Kay, now-
Okay, I just gotta say though, the wire work on this guy looks hilarious. Just like like to the side.
Well, isn't that Chris?
Is that Chris?
I think that's
don't
Chris.
think that's Chris. That's Chris. Over there. Like
You're right, because he wouldn't be in his.
no,
That's our
like,
wizard.
He's
So
like, he's
this
just
again,
like straight up. To
this
the
again
side.
brings me to my issue with the bard. We have
Okay.
Chris Pine is the bard who has never cast a spell in this entire trailer.
He has not.
So if he's a bard who doesn't use magic,
But we don't necessarily see him ever fight with a sword either.
we do see him carrying swords, definitely. But yeah, that's the question. Like, a bard is a spellcaster, so
Yeah.
he really should be casting some spells. If he doesn't cast spells, he's more of a mastermind rogue than less of an actual bard.
Do we know for sure, like 100% his class is
Yes,
bard?
because in the poster artworks that they did,
Yeah, the
they had
animated
the
posters.
class icons next
each
to
of them,
their
okay.
on each of them.
So
and
he
had,
is a bard.
Yep, it had the bard class icon on his poster.
But it's got to be that he's a bard. He's not like a true bard. He's not like a Scanlan bard. It's got to be that he's got a couple of classes in fighter, or he's a fighter with a couple of classes in bard.
Then again, then it's not a bard. Then it's like, okay, if we're gonna do this and you're gonna do the classes, we're gonna be true to everyone else's classes, but the main character. Really?
We were gonna have to see
We're
when
gonna have to see.
additional trailers come out, because they're gonna give us more information. I mean, we've got 6 months before this movie
We do.
comes out, which it sounds so much longer when you say March 2023.
It'll
but
go
when you
by-
think
it'll
about
go
it, it's
fast.
like it's only 6 months. So
It'll go by really fast.
okay, moving on to the fact that
So we got Magic Missile there. They changed it once again into the owlbear.
yeah,
And
she
now they're
changed it to the
fighting
owlbear.
another one of these cultists. It looks like
red-
they got
the
the
red-
tattoos on them.
Yeah, Red Wizard of Thay. I got nothing. I know, right? Right.
With a
Misty
Step. There's a
I
Misty Step.
love seeing this, because that's always been a difficult thing for me to envision when I'm playing, like Misty Step. When people say it, I'm like, okay, cool. Like it's suddenly just not there anymore. But this visualization is so good.
They turn into mist and they step.
Yep.
So yeah, Misty Step with the owlbear going through. Which I'll admit, I've loved all the CGI on the other parts.
It looks like a face. Look at that eye. It's like,
It's going by super fast, but still, I feel like that part looks a little
yeah,
weird.
that part is pretty
Misty
funny.
stepped up to there.
Up to the top, which is awesome. And then this incredibly gluttonous dragon.
This is a gluttonous dragon. Like,
Well, and there's a question of whether or not it's actually a red dragon, because red dragons are the only ones that are supposed to be able to spew fire. But
of the chromatics.
of the chromatic dragons, yeah. But what did the metallics? Do any of the metallics spew fire?
A bronze dragon does, but they're generally your good aligned dragons. So
Yeah.
I doubt that they're gonna be
Classic owlbear goofiness.
doing
Just
this.
a giant eye.
So I don't know. Like that's an interesting looking red
Because like that
dragon.
looks like a dragon that like doesn't fly
yeah.
and doesn't move around all that much. Honestly, like who knows?
Wait,
A conch dragon?
I have
Is that
no
what
idea.
is I write it in IPA. I will understand it better. Gold dragons too. Gold dragons don't. Well, in Pathfinder they don't.
That's Pathfinder though.
I don't know. A dragon from the set of Ghoulies. Nice. But it looks almost like aquatic
Yeah, it looks
with the little fins on the side.
Well, that's fairly normal for dragons, but yeah, look how fat that thing is.
Yeah, it's so bad.
It's like goiter.
Yeah, it's a dragon with a goiter. I love that. Pretty good work here. So we've got a couple of our party members going down.
There we get a bit more of a wide view.
Dude, it
Again,
has
those
wings, but
those
like,
wings don't look big enough to
they
lift
do
that
not
dragon.
even remotely look big enough to lift that dragon.
I don't know. Maybe it's just a really fat dragon.
Maybe it's just been gluttonous this whole time. Yep. And then we have like the "we'll be ready," like the big dramatic thing, and then the person jumping.
So look at that.
And I'm pretty sure that's the paladin.
Oh yeah. Smite moment.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, because you got the sword.
Yeah, the sword, and the sword is kind of glowing, and
yeah. This is you're casting your divine smite as you jump at the dragon.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing about the red dragon aspect is its skin, its scales do not look red.
They don't.
So, and then we get the wonderful, which I do think the animation of the Dungeons and Dragons and the ending of the way that it all comes together, I think it's very good. They did a really good job. It's not cheesy.
Honor
which is
amongst.
Nice. It's amongst. Does anybody else agree with me on this, or am I alone that it should be honor amongst
You're not alone.
thieves?
You're not alone. I'm right here.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay.
Very much. Because I really feel like it's supposed to be amongst. Like if we're doing actual English language, amongst.
Do we have any English teachers in the chat who can drop it here and tell us grammatically, should it be among or amongst?
Also, if you would like your own little dragon to play with while you are hanging out with us, go ahead and give us a follow and you will get your own little dragon adopted.
Yep,
and
follow
you
and you get a dragon. And of course, we'll always ask, please subscribe. We currently were at 9, almost 10 subscribers, and then we lost some because people forget to resubscribe. So if you forgot to resubscribe,
you can write on the D&D Next Reddit on what the dragon is.
On if it should be amongst.
Oh, if it should be, I swear it should be amongst. It's fine. The flames should last for a week at least. I know the Reddit. I've kind of stayed away from Reddit with this trailer because.
So look at
So this is where we get kind of the plucky, like where we get the feeling that this is really going to be.
I'm gonna turn that volume back up.
Kind of a
turn
joke.
it back to normal speed for a moment.
Okay.
Exactly that you bring to this.
I'm a planner. I make plans.
You've already made the plan, so
If the existing
I love Michelle Rodriguez's little smirk right there. like, oh, dude, she got you pinned.
Well, and everyone they've got in here, I know are a lot of these actors I know. I've seen them in things.
Yeah.
I don't know the girl who plays the druid.
She was the lead of It.
Oh, was she?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And
did not
she's
see
in
that.
another TV or movie on Netflix that's doing really well right now.
I do know she's talked about. She is a D&D.
She is a D&D fan.
She's a critter. She's a Critical Role fan.
plan fails, I make a new plan.
so you make plans that fail.
No.
He also plays.
He also plays the lute.
So she's got her big axe there.
So I'm not seeing any detail work. I do love the costuming on all of them. It's fantastic. The costumers did a really good job creating like beautiful costumes without making them look too cheesy.
I do feel, and this is very much a personal thing, I feel like they're too clean.
They are, but you looked like the state of Neverwinter. It was like so clean.
I know,
It was like
and
the cleanest fantasy city of all time.
I've got some issues with that.
I know.
I feel that Lord of the Rings, even Game of Thrones, they did a little bit better. Not everything's going to be clean. I can't even keep my house clean now with vacuums and all that stuff.
all that jazz. But they have magic.
True.
So like they could prestidigitate.
They're just walking
all of
around
all of the
prestidigitation
city-
on the whole city.
All of the city utility workers are just using prestidigitation for everything. Costumes are definitely on point. Yeah, I love the costuming. I would really like to get some good clean shots of Michelle, like up close